Hi Mr. Doyle, we would like to do a school podcast. What do you think of that idea?
Well, it's going to take a hell of a lot of hard work and dedication, obviously, to get that done. But in principle, I think it sounds like a great idea.
How would you go about it?
Well, I'm head of sixth form, but I also manage digital media and creative digital media. So I think if you want to make a podcast, which is really on trend at the moment, the person to help you is Mr. Milliken. He runs the digital media courses. I'm sure he'll have lots of ideas to set you in the right direction and give you the power to create that school podcast.
What sort of thing do you think the content should be?
I think the best thing to do is some general school news, interview students about things they do outside of school, their student interests, discussions about what they do outside, that kind of thing. Try and make sure there's something for everyone and make it all sound natural.
So that's just what we did. Welcome to Squawk, the first SCWA podcast.
And we are going to kick the whole thing off with an interview. This will be a regular feature to start the podcast with big music interview. Take it away, Ellie and Melissa.
What is your favourite type of music?
My favourite type of music is probably pop.
Are there any artists that you look up to?
Not necessarily look up to, because I think all of them are different, but I like listening to certain people because they're inspiring.
I think Billie Eilish is really inspiring because she's only 16.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you find that the music helps you concentrate at work?
I think, yeah, it kind of, sometimes not, because sometimes I just want to listen to the song and jam to the song.
I think it helps me concentrate because
But,
I'm still not in the bubble.
Yeah, because you can zone out at the same time.
Does music influence your lifestyle?
No, not really.
It doesn't influence my lifestyle, but it changes some things I do, because if I like an artist and I like all their songs, then I'll go to one of their concerts, or I listen to music a lot. So yeah, kind of.
What is your favourite musician? Who is your favourite musician?
Probably Little Mix as a band, or I don't know. I find Adele, Adele's not really popular at the moment, but she's quite inspiring.
Yeah, I think
because she's
really
so
good.
and Ed Sheeran.
Ed
Sheeran's amazing. Sorry, but yeah.
Would you say your family is musical?
Not musically talented.
No, yeah, but we listen to a lot of music. We always have the radio on, but it's always Capital or Heart.
Do you listen to the same kind of music as your parents?
We like
Kind
the
of.
same type of music, apart from drill songs. They're what the heck are you listening to? But obviously they have their old music, but I quite like their
Some
old
of the
music.
songs are
Yeah.
alright.
Does the music you listen to spread a positive message?
Puts me in a good mood.
Yeah, I think even not a depressing song, but some of the songs are a bit sad. But it still puts me in a good mood listening to music. And it's the artists are really good, so that kind of puts you in a good mood because you like them.
I like a bit of pop. The next item on the agenda is a little more serious. It affects all of us and destroys confidence and families' lives. We have some Year 9 students talking about the subject seriously, and the subject is knife crime.
I haven't had much experience with knife crime, but I've heard stuff about it on the news.
I don't really have any experience, but I know that there's a lot of people out there with knives, and people just have to be careful because you never know. If you just turn a corner, someone could just jump out, stab you for no reason. So, yeah, I'm kind of scared for people in my community, because in my community there's literally just peace everywhere. There's not really much crime going on.
You live in gang territory, don't you?
Yeah, so I'm kind of scared though, because some people in my area have been confronted with knives before, and I'm just sort of scared for them. But the thing is that scares me the most is that because of the colour of my skin, I feel like it's gonna affect me the most, and that just any day I'm walking down the street I could just get stabbed for no reason. I haven't done anything to them.
It's scary because it could happen to anyone, like any time, and you don't know like what you did to deserve it.
I think knife crime is bad, especially if you know people that carry knives, because they can like go to prison if they get caught.
I know you live in a dodgy area, innit?
I don't think it's dodgy. If you know the people, then it's not as bad, because then you know that they're not going to do that to you.
I knew this guy when he was like proper dodgy, and he used to carry like screwdrivers and knives around with him, and yeah, he felt threatened and stuff.
Like, he knew that he needed extra help if he was to get attacked.
Yeah.
He knew that as a little guy, a very, very little guy, he needed like extra help.
Yeah, I think they should try to like change people's mindset towards it. And like music is another big thing, because there's a music producer who got killed by B-Side, a gang in Lewisham, and it's hard to think that even for someone that had nothing involved in the beef or anything, and they still died because of it. Because the thing is, it's drill music is rappers that were in gangs trying to get out of that kind of life, and like
Trying to
earn money,
break the cycle.
exactly, and make money a different way. And then banning that is just
People
stopping
think
that
about
way
that,
of getting
the
out of that
people
life.
About what they used to do, they're just going to go back to what they
Exactly,
used to do.
and it's like they're saying that they're saying that they've done all this stuff, but it's not. You can't just forget about if you've done that kind of stuff. And education is also a big thing in it,
Yeah.
because it's a
This
big
is
part. Because
education.
if you're not taking part in your education and you're not trying hard, if he's not trying
If you're not
hard,
getting proper education,
if you're not
then
trying
life
hard in
can't, like, be
school,
something that
then
you need to fall back
and you
on.
have no like grades or GCSEs or anything to get you a job, you might just resort to selling drugs. Caught in that cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even if you do get
You
GCSEs,
shouldn't
you
see
can still sell
knife
drugs,
crime
because
as
you
an easy
can make a
way
lot of
out.
money from it.
Yeah.
Once you're in something like that, it's hard to get out of it.
It takes a lot to break the cycle.
We in our school we had like a metal detector search,
Yeah.
and there were police and stuff, and they were searching our bags, or searching on us and everything. It's all about your life decisions. Like people say that it's peer pressure. Don't be friends with them people. Then I understand if you can't find other, but if they're pressuring you to do other stuff, you shouldn't
not
be friends
friends.
with them. Exactly. If
they're-
they're pressuring you to carry
if they're
like
trying
their
to
knife,
bring you down with you,
exactly, and don't be friends with
just
them.
leave.
You know.
There's no shame in running. Don't try to be the hero.
Another subject we are keen to investigate is that of anxiety. This condition has significantly increased in the last few years among young people. We start this section with a poem by a Year 10 student and follow up a piece which tries to reassure you that you are not alone and there is always a way to solve the condition.
Gripping at my skin, please make it stop. I can do nothing but stare at the clock. Tick tock, tick tock. Time slows down, almost to a halt. The room feels tight and it's unbearably hot. To my right somebody coughs. A funny smell surrounds me now, choking me, drowning me, killing me slowly. Is it me? Are people judging? I reach in my bag to pull out my perfume. Someone in front of me turns round at the sound. My cheeks turn crimson and I turn my eyes down. I take my chances of peer at the clock, only to find it's still 1 o'clock.
You know that feeling when you're rocking on the back legs of your chair and suddenly for a split second you think you're about to fall? That feeling in your chest? Imagine that split second of it being frozen in time and lodged in your chest for minutes, hours and even days. And imagine it with a sense of impending doom and dreading sticking around too. But sometimes you don't even know why. Anxiety. 1 in 6 young people in the UK suffer with anxiety. This means that a class of 30 students are approximately 5 who suffer with anxiety. Everyone experiences anxiety sometimes, but it becomes a mental health problem when it impacts your ability to live your daily life fully. There are many things that may cause the rise in anxiety. One reason may be electronics. Consistent access to technology such as mobile phones has led to many young people using them to escape negative emotions instead of learning how to cope with them in a more healthy way. Also, parents and teachers have high expectations, which can put pressure on children and give them a crippling fear of failure or rejection. In teenage years, hormonal shifts, along with the pressure of lack of experience dealing with these emotions, can lead to feelings of anxiety for no reason. Anxiety is a common mental health disorder that affects around 18% of adults. There are many different types of anxiety, such as social anxiety, generalized anxiety, panic disorder, PTSD, and OCD. Symptoms of social anxiety are feeling anxious about social interactions, worrying about small things, feeling like you're consistently being judged, fear criticism, low self-esteem, and regular panic attacks. Panic attacks are when you have an overwhelming sense of fear and anxiety, which usually lasts for a few minutes. You may tremble, feel nauseous, sweat, or have heart palpitations. These attacks may leave you feeling unable to breathe, dizzy, and your limbs may shake uncontrollably. Most panic attacks last between 5 and 20 minutes, but they can last longer in some circumstances. Frequent panic attacks can cause you to fear the anxiety attacks themselves, thereby increasing overall anxiety. The consistent state of stress can lead to clinical depression. Social anxiety can take over your everyday life, as you may feel you don't want to leave your home, as you're not pretty enough or not good enough, and you may feel that everyone will judge you. It can stop you from meeting up with friends, going to school or work, or taking part in social events. Even though you may feel there is no cure, it is possible to reduce the amount of panic attacks you may be experiencing. Treatments include medication and psychological therapy. Psychological therapy consists of trained therapists teaching you how to change your behavior. For example, teaching you breathing techniques for when you feel a panic attack is coming on.
The monologue has been popular in the theatre since back in the day, and now we have its modern equivalent to voiceover. Our Year 9 media students wrote their own voiceover for an old film, Paris, Texas, by Wim Wenders. Set in the deserts of Texas, a man walks.
The track has been long and tiring. I'm almost out of water as well. Maybe if I find the village soon, I can get some water there. This place is very rocky, surprisingly. I thought it would be all sand. I didn't expect it to be this hot, and I didn't expect it to take this long to find the area. If I knew, I would have brought more than a milk bottle full of water. I'm gonna finish my water before I die of dehydration. A bird keeps looking at me while I chug my water. Phew, I'm so much better now. That bird is giving me the creeps. If I don't make it to a small town before dark, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I think I see a town. It's very far off, but I can make it before darkness falls. I'm gonna make my way over now. Maybe it can help me. Curse my boss for dropping me in the middle of nowhere to do some work. Then again, curse me for not paying attention to directions. Ever since I ended up away from the main town, I've been looking for a way back. I don't know how I'll survive the night if I don't make it to town on time. I'll probably have to light a massive fire to keep warm. The day has been long and scorching hot. You see, this place gets real cold. All I have on me is a thin blanket, and that's not going to do much towards keeping me warm. Well, I guess I'm wasting my breath. To the town I go.
I was the richest man in my state. My plane crashed in the middle of the desert. As annoyed as I was also grateful to have survived. I was the only one that survived. As I took that last drop of water, the hawk in the corner of my eye watched with envy in its eyes. My water has run out. That hawk looks just as thirsty as I am. I don't have any idea of how long I have been here, but I know it has been long. I have to move as quickly as I can before I get more thirsty. The desert isn't as amazing as everyone says. It is just miles and miles of sand. I knew I had to get back before I grew much more thirsty and hungry. It's too hot and too dry and too sandy. Maybe that's because I've been out here so long. My clothes are dirty and my mouth is dry. It's horrible. What would you expect? It's not my favourite place in the world. Definitely ain't no sunny backyard. I hope to find my way home. I don't like this place. It's an absolute madhouse.
Desperate stuff. To neatly link with the heat of the desert, we are thinking about holidays. But holidays can often be ruined by disasters and mishaps. Here we offer some tips on staying safe when travelling.
Summer's coming and the thoughts are turning to holidays, maybe even a gap year if you're lucky. Travelling the world and immersing yourself in other cultures can be one of the most rewarding parts of life, but it's important that everyone takes extra precaution when going abroad, as things are very different in each country. Financial safety, 5 popular scams and how to avoid them. Taxi scam 1. This is when a taxi driver tells you they'll give you a discount by not turning on the meter, when in fact they are charging you more money. To avoid this scam, you should ask the taxi driver to turn the meter on, and if they refuse to get out of the cab, get another one. Taxi scam 2. Make sure before you enter a taxi, look at the driver's ID so you know it's registered and safe. There have been numerous cases where tourists have got into taxis only to notice later the driver isn't actually a taxi driver. This scam could end up in a number of different ways, so make sure you check for their ID. Gifts from strangers. This scam is extremely common and can happen anywhere in the world. Unfortunately, it relies on very common human reaction. When you hand in something, you usually take it before thinking. Strangers often give you something and insist you take it as a welcome gift, but then instantly does start demanding money. They pressure you and make you feel guilty. To avoid this, resist your natural reaction and try and avoid taking anything from people you don't know. Illegally swiping foreigners' credit cards. This usually happens in busy restaurants or bars when people are otherwise occupied. If you leave your card lying about, someone can easily take it. Copy down their details and return it before you realise. With this information, they can easily drain your account, leaving you with nothing. Don't get too drunk or have your cards on show. Someone could take advantage of this and use your card without your knowledge, stealing hundreds or thousands of pounds and ruining your holiday. Restaurant scams. This is a simple scam that can easily go unnoticed by people who only know one language. When dining in a restaurant, it's important you know some of the language of the country you're in. Sure, you could ask for the English menu, but some places put higher prices on this menu because they assume you are an uninformed tourist. This is a difficult one to avoid as most people from the UK only know English, but by learning some basic phrases and using logic to understand the menu, you can hopefully avoid being deceived by these dishonest restaurateurs.
Computer games are popular, but we almost never think about the history of the companies that produce them. So, for all the geeks, here is the history of Nintendo.
The console war amid Nintendo and Sega helped bring home entertainment into the public eye. In 1983, there was a huge console crash and sales within the gaming industry dropped by 97%. Nintendo's consoles were very family friendly, with titles such as Super Mario attracting a young target demographic. On the other hand, Sega targeted an older audience, with games such as Mortal Kombat featuring blood and violence. The war between the two gaming companies lasted throughout the late 1980s and early 1990s, and both companies tried attracting the biggest audience, and both tried to release the most enjoyable games and the most up-to-date consoles. Nintendo, the origin of Nintendo. Nintendo began in 1889 as a playing card company. Whilst they were a card company, they released a game called Hanafuda, which means a flower card in Japanese. Nintendo was a medium-sized playing card company until the 1950s, and in 1963 they renamed the company to Nintendo Co. to venture into new businesses. In this period they had many failed businesses, including a failed taxi company, live hotel chain, TV network and food company. They shifted their business to home entertainment and released their laser clay shooting system. After they secured the rights to the Magnavox Odyssey in 1975, they decided to develop their own home and arcade games. They released the EVR Race in 1975 and Donkey Kong in 1981, which were also released on consoles such as the Atari 2600. Following the success of their arcade units, they released the Game & Watch series of handhelds in 1980. In Japan, they released the family computer, Famicom, which was their first attempt at a carriage console, and later released the console worldwide by the name the Nintendo Entertainment System. Alongside the NES, many popular franchises were created, such as Super Mario and The Legend of Zelda. When Nintendo released the Game Boy, the handheld came packaged with Tetris, making the game one of the most sold games of all time. They followed the release of the Game Boy with the release of the Super Famicom in Japan, then released it a year later worldwide and under the same name, Super Nintendo Entertainment System, which helped make Nintendo one of the most successful video game companies of all time. 1996 saw the release of Nintendo 64, which was Nintendo's first 64-bit console. 2 years later, the Game Boy Color was released, which gave new life to the original Game Boy by implementing color, which attracted many gamers, and in 2001, the GameCube was released. The early 2000s saw the release of multiple different consoles by Nintendo, which helped boost console sales and keep their popularity. In this time period, they released Game Boy Advanced SP, Nintendo DS, and the Nintendo Wii. They also released the Wii U and the Nintendo Switch. Furthermore, Niantic released Pokemon Go on mobile devices, helping the franchise gain even more popularity.
Finally, we come to the Internet Safety Special. The human problems that drive the Internet are not new. They have been with humanity since the beginning of time. As part of our exploration of the digital world, where we look at the ultra-violent, ultra-nasty world of Greek mythology.
In this first podcast, we are treating the world of the internet as if it was Pandora's box and comparing the sprites released to the demons of the internet. We present 4 short plays illuminating the dangers of the internet. In the character of Pandora and Epimetheus, students take the dangers of the net head on. The hope is that technology can be a force for good.
Pandora, promise me that you will not open this email.
But it says that I should open it and read it.
But you promise me that you won't.
Okay, I promise.
Very well then, I will leave you to your business and I'll meet you again soon.
Okay, what should I do now? Maybe I could do some online shopping whilst Epimetheus is gone.
A few days later. Hello Pandora, how are you doing? I hope you didn't open the email.
Why didn't you say that before?
I was just wondering, and I must warn you that there are many dangers lurking around in your computer.
What do you mean by dangers lurking in my computer?
For example, cyberbullying, scams, viruses, trojans, hackers, blackmailing, and the worst of them all, stalkers.
Why should I be worried about this?
Because if you make the wrong choices, you might not be aware of them. And if you didn't know, they're all around the internet and they're waiting to attack.
Oh no! Why didn't you tell me sooner about all these dangers lurking around?
Because I thought you knew about all this.
Maybe I wasn't paying attention.
Well then, you should have.
Who cares? Well, I certainly didn't.
I really shouldn't have wasted my time then.
What was that?
I don't know.
I know. I opened the email that you told me not to open.
What have you done? You have unleashed the beasts, now you must pay.
I'm really, really sorry, Epimetheus. Please forgive me.
It's too late, now I must go.
What am I supposed to do without you, Epimetheus?
1 hour later, Epimetheus appears. Sorry I stormed out on you, Pandora. I am truly sorry.
I forgive you, Epimetheus. Now let's fix my computer.
Okay then, let's start by downloading some antivirus software.
It worked!
Yes, indeed it did. Now the next step is to refresh your firewall and update your computer.
2 hours later. Finally, I can be safe from the internet. Thanks, Epimetheus.
You're welcome, Pandora.
No doubt the internet can be an extremely useful tool for young people to let their imaginations run wild, but instant messaging, chat rooms, emails and social networking sites can also bring trouble.
Tell me about it. All of these ads that come on my devices are extremely disturbing and make me feel really uncomfortable, especially when I'm with people.
Some people need to understand that children use the internet as well.
Saying that, we use it more than adults do.
Oh yeah, anyway, adults don't want to see them ads either.
You're right. These people need to be told off before people even younger than us see the ads.
I know, right?
Also, people in chat rooms, instant messages and the email people send can be very rude, and the fact that we don't know who they're talking to is scary because they might be bad people.
People like paedophiles and perverts.
Yes.
I'm stopping straight away.
You know what I mean. You didn't know, which means other people might not.
But they need to know.
I know.
I wish I hadn't opened the box.
Well, you did, and if you didn't, the internet wouldn't exist.
What's the internet?
The internet is a really dangerous place. These are some examples of cyberspace problems being connected with your box.
One example is cyberbullying. This links with the sins known as jealousy and fear. These link as the people who are doing the cyberbullying can be jealous of the people they are bullying. They could also be fearful of the victims.
Bad or illegal links are linked to laziness.
They are linked because the people who own the links are too lazy to make them into good links and also advertise them on social media. Another link is rage and rude messages. These are linked as rude messages could be sent over a game or them losing a game and getting angry.
The final link is inappropriate content and lust. They are linked because they are both not meant for children under the age of 18. You shouldn't use the content if you are old enough. Use Google for Kids, it's nothing inappropriate will come up.
Pandora and Epimetheus are sat at the recently opened burger bar scrolling through YouTube and Greekygram, the Greek version of Instagram.
Hey, Epimetheus, have you seen what's been going on the app YouTube?
Oh yes, the app full of all them hate comments.
I wish there was a way to stop all of this.
But there is. If you report people who make nasty comments, or you can turn off the
Wow, you are good at this, but what can we do about all the cyberbullying on Greekygram?
Well, if you make your page private, no one can message you unless you accept their friend request. If you don't want them as your friend, you're unsure of, kill them. This will stop all of the stress that was released. Did this answer your question, Pandora?
Oh yes, thank you, Epimetheus. Also, do not forget, never talk to strangers, because you know what happened when I met up with Zeus.
Oh yes, and never meet up with people that you don't know, because they might say they're your age, they could be much, much older and hurt you.
That is also a very good point. Also, to stop people finding you on apps, make everything private, and if people have your number, tell them not to give it to anyone, and if they do, change it straight away.
And you don't want to open things that you should not see, like Pandora did with the box, because there are many things that you should not see that are on the internet, and opening up things and put viruses on your phone and put yourself and others in danger.
Oh yes, that is a great point that I should know.
Pandora's friend has sent her chain mail saying if you don't forward this to 20 contacts, you'll die.
Oh, my friend has been sent chain mail and has forwarded it to me. These types of chain mail can be peer pressure and cause stress.
But how?
People can feel pressure to forward it and feel stress. We can stop this by reporting and blocking these people and ask not to have chain mail sent to us.
This is a great way to stop that. And now we know how to stay safe on our gadgets. Thank you, Pandora.
You're welcome, Epimetheus, and thank you for your tips too.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our first podcast, produced by the team with the help of media students and Mr. Milligan. See you all next term. If there's a subject you'd like discussed, let us know via the Squawk suggestion box at the front desk.
Oh, and don't get too anxious about those exams. Work hard, work smart.
So it's goodbye from
Daniela,
Ria,
Holly,
Lola,
and don't forget Erin.